If you're one of those hockey players that doesn't do any off-ice training whatsoever for your sport, the only training that you do is lacing up your skates a couple times a week to go and play a game, this video isn't for you. It's for those of you who are out there doing some off-ice hockey training, trying to improve your performance on the ice, but you're making a few of the key mistakes that I see repeated over and over again. This is Maria from hockeytrainingpro.com, and today I'm going to share with you the top 3 hockey training mistakes I see people make and what you can do instead. Like any of our other cable exercises, you can do this just as well with a bungee. Just loop it around something nice and solid. Have one end or one handle in each hand. But this, we're going to show you a cable row. So both knees are bent. This actually gives you a little better base of support. So with time, you'll be able to get to a much heavier weight. But also, it's sort of a nice functional position. So I'm staying tall. As I row in, I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together slightly. And I'm not leaning back with my torso. So I'm stabilizing with my torso, my legs, my hips, and I'm doing the work with my arms. And then you would switch foot positions. Now to me, it doesn't matter if you switch foot positions halfway through the set, or if you do one set with your right foot forward, the next set with your left foot forward. As long as they even out over the duration of the workout, it's fine. So when you do a standing cable press, you can do bilateral, so one cable in each hand, but just keep your knees bent to about 90 degrees each with a nice stable torso. So we don't want you leaning forward with your torso on each rep. Just stay nice and tall. You can do a staggered stance cable press. If you don't have a cable column, you can use bungees, but keeping your front and your back knee bent to 90 degrees, your chest up and stable, so that means your torso isn't moving around. When you do a chin up, your palms face you all the way from a dead hang, all the way till your chin comes up. And kind of start the move by depressing your shoulder blades. Don't let your shoulders shrug up and then pull them down. Start by pulling them down. So for this one, we're going to use a mini band. And it's not essential, it doesn't make or break the exercise, but what it does is it really teaches you to use your glutes when you're doing this lift, to use muscles in the back and the outsides of your hips. So this is just a mini band. It's just a big, heavy elastic. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. It won't ruin the exercise for you. But you're going to put that on just above knee height. And then you'll grab the bar with an overhand grip. And you'll come right up to the bar and get it resting on the fronts of your shoulders. So it's not resting in your hands. Your hands are just controlling the bar. The weight's all resting on the front of your shoulders. And the way you make sure you do that is by keeping your elbows pointing straight up all the time. Don't let them drop down, or then the weight comes into your hands and it's going to be really, really uncomfortable. So overhand grip, tuck your elbows underneath the bar. The bar is resting on the fronts of my shoulders. It is touching the front of my neck a little bit. My feet are just hip width apart. And then to initiate, I'm going to sit back with my hips, keeping my elbows up, keeping my knees pulled out against the resistance of this band. So don't let the band pull your knees in. You're trying to use the band to remind you to pull your knees out. So sitting back in your hips, keeping a neutral low back. And then when you're finished, walk the bar forward till it touches on both sides. Then bend your knees to set it down. You do the split squat, you want to keep your feet about hip width apart. So when you step into your stride, don't step into a tightrope position. Keep a hip width distance. And then really the front leg and the back leg are going to work together. Both knees will bend at the same time so that you lower straight down. Ideally, until your back knee just hovers above the ground or lightly touches. Your torso stays up nice and tall, and this knee stays pointing straight ahead. As I come up, I'm pushing through my front leg, through my front glute, my left butt, to push myself back up into a tall standing position. So from the side, I'm staying nice and tall. You can see at the bottom, my front knee and my back knee are both bent to about 90 degrees, but my torso is nice and tall. If you try to do this, and even though you're trying to do proper technique, your torso gets pulled forward, it tells you right away that these hip flexors are way too tight. So you're probably going to have to limit your range of motion and spend a lot more time working on those hip flexor stretches, because they're not letting you stay extended through that hip. They're pulling you into that flex position. So when you do squat jump to accelerate, you'll do the required number of just squat jumps and then quickly try to transition into acceleration. So if we're going to do 3 squat jumps into an acceleration, here's what it'll look like. When you skate bound, you're going to travel at about a 45-degree angle. So driving off one leg, landing on the other, the other, the other. And you're trying to get as far and as high as you can, but off the ground as quick as you can each time. For the dumbbell squat jump, resist the temptation to start with too heavy a load. So start between 5 and 10 pounds and then build up to just a max of between 20 and 30 pounds. So I hold the dumbbells at my side. Notice when I jump here in a second that my knees aren't pinching together on either the landing or the jump. They're staying in line with my hips. I'm linking my jumps and trying to get as high as I can, as quickly as I can. From the side, notice that I'm landing on the balls of my feet, but then I'm coming down, my heels are touching down almost instantaneously. I'm sitting back with my hips, but I'm keeping my good torso position. The Pro Agility test is a really common test to come across at hockey tryouts because it gets your acceleration from a dead stop, your deceleration, change of direction, acceleration when moving to your right, when moving to your left. So it's a really nice test of, hey, how agile is this person? I guess that's why they call it the Pro Agility test. But typically in the test, by definition, these cones will be 5 meters apart. So it'll be, or 5 yards apart. So it'll be 10 yards from end to end. You've also heard it called the 5-10-5 agility test. Here we're doing it a little bit shorter. These are only about 3 meters apart. So we're keeping it a little closer quarters. When you start off early in your training, I want it a little bit wider, but as you get going and want to work a little bit more on that explosive quickness, we can creep it in a bit. So by definition on the test, you have to start with one hand on the turf, on the ground. So again, my hips are down, my legs are loaded. I'm not up here like this. So I'm going to move to my right first. So I'm going to take off, use my hockey stop, drive through, hockey stop, and then you just finish right through the middle.